Today I'll talk about a thing which is probably the newest in the field of medicine. And I think we all should know, because many a times I have given lectures, and at the end of the lecture people ask me, where do you get from, how do you transplant the thing? So it is actually not transplanting, it is implanting a device inside which is a bionic ear, and that's the whole thing. So I'll just try to tell you where exactly this implant can be done and how successful the implant would be and how does it work. So the first most important thing is deafness is a silent handicap. We ridicule a person who is deaf, whereas we pity a person who is visually handicapped. That's the irony of the thing. So deafness has gone unnoticed for a very, very long period just because of this reason, that it was taken as a joke for those also who are suffering. हम कहते हैं वे सुनता नहीं है, but हम कहते हैं बेचारा अंधा है. So it's that kind of a mentality which has to be changed. And the problem is that if you are deaf, you are also dumb and you are not speaking. So you actually, by treating one, you give them two senses altogether. So that's the importance of the whole thing. Now the magnitude in our country is very high, and that is primarily because of the consanguinity, the rubellas and the toxoplasmas and the meningitis and whatsoever. I'll just come to that. But 10% of the population suffers from some level of hearing loss, mild, moderate, severe. 1% of this has hearing loss amounting to hearing handicap. And hearing handicap is that when you have more than 60 decibel hearing loss in the better ear, and that is a hearing handicap person. 0.1% of these of these hearing handicaps are profoundly deaf, which would need a cochlear implant. Now, what does profoundly deaf mean, and what does a severely deaf means? It has everything to do with the hair cells, which I'll just tell you what it is. And 25,000 of these are being added, which is the kind of a data which we have, and there are many more which are being added every year to this number, in which would need a cochlear implant. Now, we've been doing all kinds of surgeries of the external ear, the tympanic membrane, the middle ear. We were not able to touch the cochlea, and now fortunately we are even doing brainstem implants. We are the 5th centers in the world who do auditory brainstem implants. That means if the cochlea is not there, the nerve is not there, we put an electrode inside the foramen, inside the 4th ventricle, into the foramen of Lashka, and they start hearing. These are the areas where we have the auditory nuclei, and instead of the cochlea stimulating the basilar membrane in the cochlea, we actually stimulate the nuclei and then give hearing. So with all these, I can today with pride say that deafness no more a disability. It is whatever kind of deafness we are able to treat, but yes, there is still a dark cloud, and that is a central deafness. So you have deafness because of affecting, when the center of hearing gets affected in the temporal lobe, be it be cerebral palsy, be it be encephalopathy later on in life, encephalitis and encephalopathy. So these are the situations which we have central deafness, and we at the moment have not been able to break the ice here, and we would not do anything about them. So still there is a dark cloud, but on the whole deafness can be treated, but these are very, very few cases, maybe just a couple in the total. It is the inner ear which acts as a transducer, converts the sound waves into bioelectrical current, which is then taken on by the dendrites to the spiral ganglion, to the hearing nerve, then it goes to the brain and decoding occurs, and we understand what we are all talking about. And this is what the inner ear used to do, and now because the hair cells have gone, you cannot do that. I told you about the common causes. These are congenital. We have genetic, consanguinity, rubella. There is a gene called the connexin 26, but there are 100 odd mutant genes which are there, which can actually cause deafness, and there are many of these are because of the mutations we have in our day-to-day life. The acquired are the neonatal jaundice, viral fevers, meningitis, ototoxic drugs, head injuries, ear infections, etc., and they're all rampant in our country today. The best thing is to identify deafness at a very early age. We can actually identify deafness inside the mother's womb after the 7th month when the cochlea is completely formed. And that's the reason why the child hears the mother. That is called the mother C. But we are not able to we don't do that because we don't want to tell the mother that your child which will be born would be deaf. For the next 2 months, we're actually not able to do anything, but we are just giving unhappiness and agony to the mother, so we don't do it. we can actually identify deafness at 1 day of birth, and that's the reason for universal screening. We are actually screening all the children who are born, thanks to the gynecologists who allow us to do that. And it is now a national program. I'm a member of that program also in the Government of India. And it is becoming, so we'll be giving OE everywhere, free of cost, at every center shortly, so that every child could have an OE. And if the OE shows us something, we can go in for a BERA. That will confirm the hearing loss. OE is just a screening device. And anything above 30 decibel loss would actually OE be a refer. So we have to do BERA and ASSR. ASSR actually we do to know what exactly is the residual hearing in different frequencies. So if we are doing a cochlear implant, that would help us to prognose the outcomes of the cochlear implant. So ASSR is useful for that reasons. I also request everybody that when you have a case child who is congenitally deaf or who is prelingually deaf or a perilingually deaf child, I'll explain to you what that means also. We should always do a 3D MRI of the cochlea and the neural bundle, because if we don't have the cochlea and if we don't have the neural bundle, we are just giving hearing aids to these children without any reason, and actually they are all waste of not only finances to the parents, but also the time. Precious time is wasted, because brainstem implant can be done successfully between 1 and 2 years of age. So many a children come to us at 5 years, 6 years, when the time for that brainstem implant is actually lost. So any child who you diagnose, a pediatrician or otherwise, congenitally deaf, please refer the child for a 3D MRI. A CT is not needed at this point of time, and it is invasive, but a 3D MRI would be of great help. And if shows a thin nerve or an absent nerve or an absent cochlea, Michel's deformity, we should actually not even think of doing a cochlear implant or even giving a hearing aid. So that's this child is now fit for a brainstem implant. There are two parts. One goes inside. This is the receiver stimulator, which receives the digitalized sound from outside. It then converts into bioelectrical current, and this is the electrode array which goes inside the cochlea, stimulates the dendrites, and actually gives you the transducer effect of the cochlea. This is the outside thing, which is a microphone, a battery, and it digitalizes the sound and gives it to the transcutaneously. You have an intact skin over it, and it goes through radio frequency to the inside thing, and then it converts and gives it to. So it is actually two parts. The speech processor, though gradually are getting smaller and smaller, but they'll have to be there. I was recently in Sydney, where they called about 15 doctors from all over the world. I was the only Indian representing there. We had gone to test the Tiki, the totally implantable cochlear implants. But there the battery and the microphone would also be inside, and every 3 years or 5 years you'll have to change the battery, which probably would not happen in our country, because we have to pay for the implants here. There it is the implant and the surgery, everything is free, so they can afford all these kind of tantrums, but we can't. So to have a Tiki in this country would be a long drawn thing. And I'll just tell you how it works. These are the hair cells which actually convert the sound waves into electrical waves, and then through the dendrites it goes to the spiral ganglion, and then from there it goes to the auditory center in the temporal lobe, where the whole decoding occurs and we understand. Now if these hair cells are destroyed, then we have to put an electrode inside the cochlea in the scala tympani, where we stimulate the basilar membrane and the dendrites over the basilar membrane, and actually we then receive the sound. It goes through the intact skin into the inner lying implanted device, and from there it goes into the electrode and into the cochlea, where it stimulates. That's how the electrode goes, and it goes inside the cochlea, where we are now stimulating the dendrites, and from there it goes to the brain, bypassing the whole of the ear actually. And when it is a brainstem implant, we are bypassing the whole nerve and everything and putting into the cochlea. So this is a totally new bionic ear, nothing to do with what God created, the outer, middle and the inner ear. So this is what it is, and this is how the cochlear implant actually works. Now, who would need an implant? It was actually created for post-lingually deaf people like you and me. If we become deaf tomorrow and nothing helps us, not even a cochlear implant, not even a hearing aid, we would get a cochlear implant. And cochlear implant is actually a hearing device which works on a different parameter altogether. Here in the hearing aid, we are just amplifying the sound. Here we are converting the sound into electrical currents and giving it to the nerve. So it's actually a hearing device, but in a different way. Perilingual deafness would be in children who are born all right. In the first year of their life, they become deaf because of some reason. But the brain has heard, the temporal lobe knows what to do. And then when you implant them, they do fantastically well. The prelingual, that means those children who had become deaf inside the mother's womb, are a little more difficult to treat. And the congenital ones are even more difficult, because in congenital deformities, you'll have Mondini deformity, aplasias, hypoplasias, and all these. So they become even more difficult to treat because the child has not even heard inside the mother's womb. And that's why the auditory system is actually, the auditory center is not working so well. I'll just give you an example in Hindi, and you'll understand why we want to do it early. एक हिरन का बच्चा पैदा होता है जो उठते ही भागता है. ना इंसान का बच्चा ना शेर का बच्चा भाग नहीं सकता. Now there are two situations which you create. In one, you catch hold of the deer cub and tie its feet. Remove it untie it after 1 day, 1 week, 1 month. After a day, it will struggle for a while, then तब भी भाग जाएगा. एक हफ्ते बाद थोड़ा ज़्यादा स्ट्रगल करेगा, तब भी भाग जाएगा. एक महीने बाद ये हिरन का बच्चा उठ के नहीं चल सकता और वहीं गिर जाता है. एक और हिरन का बच्चा पैदा हुआ जो थोड़ी देर उठ के भागा, फिर आपने उसके पाँव बांधे और एक दिन बाद, एक हफ्ते बाद, एक महीने बाद खोले. ये एक महीने बाद भी उठ के भाग जाएगा. एंड दिस ऑल इज न्यूरल प्लास्टिसिटी. If the child doesn't suck the mother's breast for the first 1 week, 2 weeks, he forgets to do that, and then you have all the other ways of doing it. If a kangaroo gets birth from the mother's passage and travels up the pouch and gets attached to the pouch as a 2-day fetus, you just catch hold of the fetus and detach it and put it back. After 1 second, he falls dead. He cannot do that again. Because in that 2-day fetus, God only told him to travel from the mother's passage to the pouch. So these are all neural plasticity, and the size of the brain determines what the neural plasticity would be all about. So we have to catch them very early, do them very early. We are doing it at 9 months now. Why we don't do it before 9 months is another story which I'll tell you. But we do it as early as 9 months, and the results are excellent. Now, before 1985, we were doing implants who are profoundly deaf only. But now, with residual hearing, as I told you, अगर बच्चा उठ के थोड़ी देर भागा है और उसके ब्रेन को पता है, तो जिसमें भी थोड़ी सी residual hearing है, उसका जो auditory center है, pathway है, वो active है, they'll do it better. I mean, I have people who, with the best of hearing aids, were not doing better than 30 decibel speech discrimination score. That means वो 30 लफ्ज़ से ज़्यादा नहीं सुन पाते थे 100 में से, by best of bilateral amplification. तो इनको जब cochlear implant किया गया तो इन्होंने बहुत अच्छा show किया. So actually the cochlear implants indications are getting wider and wider, and now we are doing electroacoustic stimulation. That means you have almost near normal hearing in the lower frequencies and profound hearing loss in the higher frequencies. You put a cochlear implant and a hearing aid in the same ear, which is called electroacoustic stimulation. Because if you don't have higher frequencies, the sounds like sh, s, t, r would not be heard, and you will not have good speech. So actually we have come to that level, and we are doing it in India. Now factors affecting, so you have to have a normal cochlea, you have to have a normal nerve, you have to have a normal brain also, because if you have anoxic, and that speech therapy is mandatory, it is very, very important. Depends upon what age you are doing the implant. अगर आपने 8.5 साल के बच्चे की उम्र किया है, तो आपको हो सकता है 3-4 साल speech therapy करनी पड़े, and that is very important. Now, this is the minimal invasive technique which has started in this country 15 years back, and now we are able to not even do the mastectomy, and I'll just show you how it looks like. This is the tunnel what I create, 1.6 millimeters in diameter, through which we put the electrode, and this large mastoid cavity which was created, and which was created in children as small as 9 months. We are destroying what God created. There was a reason God created the mastoid air cell system. That was that the infection from the station tube into the middle ear, into the adductors, and into the mastoid should not be coming so fast. But if you destroy this in a small little child to do a cochlear implant, you are actually not doing justice. So, and it is not only from outside, inside it is also outside, that you're just creating that small little tunnel and putting the electrode, and you raise the tympanomeatal flap, and that also has an added advantage of giving you a panoramic view of the cochlea, because you have many such situations in which you will need that panoramic view. आप सिर्फ कॉकलियर इम्प्लांट नॉर्मल में नहीं डालते, बहुत ऐसी सिचुएशंस है, पोस्ट मेनिंजेटिक ऑसिफाइड कॉकलियाज एंड सिंगल कैविटी, फिर गशर्स होते हैं, बहुत कुछ होता है, विच आई विल show you. So you have to have a very wide view of the middle ear, which you can achieve by raising the tympanomeatal flap and minimizing your surgery in the mastoid by creating this tunnel. And secondly, when you create the tunnel, you are actually addressing the cochlea through this small little posterior tympanotomy approach. And if I told you as you have problems, which I'll show you, you're not able to do a cochlear implant properly. And that's the reason why the cochlear implant failures were there. But here you have a very beautiful view of the whole of the middle ear. You can put the electrode wherever you want, and I'll show you why you need to put at different places. And this is avoiding this big surgery. And you can see now, this is the electrode going through the tunnel into the cochlea completely without even touching the mastoid air cell system anywhere. So that's the advantage of this technique, and it is now rampantly picking up in this country. I almost visit one center every Sunday to teach and operate elsewhere. Tomorrow, actually, there are 3 cases to be done in Dehradun. So I have to travel a lot at the moment, but gradually the youngsters would learn and they'll do that thing successfully. And this is, I won't go into the details why do it, I'll just show you certain cases. This is how we do, and if there is a problem case, you can actually do the cochleostomy as the first case, and if you're not able to do it, you stop the surgery there, call some senior who will finish up. And I'll just show you, this is my first video, and I like it so much till today that I don't show my later ones, which are better quality videos. This is my first, which I did about 15 years back. And this is a special instrument which we have created, in which we create the tunnel gradually and enter into the facial recess. And then I'll just show you how it does. And this was the actual time taken then 15 years back, and now just I take about 10 seconds, 15 seconds to create the tunnel. The total surgery doesn't take more than about 40 minutes. And this is the revolution which this surgery has created in the world over. You have to be careful because that is the area where the facial nerve would come. So a lot of water saline should be put so that it doesn't heat up during drilling. And that's very important. Otherwise, there is no chance of any injury. If you were ENT surgeons, I would explain you why there is no facial nerve there. But here, yes, in the facial recess, that's the name given because facial nerve cannot be there. And that is the tunnel which we have created, and through this you put the electrode inside. And this we fix the implant. That's very important because if you don't fix it properly, it is going to lie there for the rest of the life, and you can't take a chance by not fixing it properly there. Now, this is the extra electrode which unwinds as the child grows, so that you put into a 1 millimeter deep suprameatal crest, which actually gets isolated from the rest of the mastoid air cell system. So this is how it looks like. There are 4 implant systems available in the world, and I am the only surgeon who does all the 4. So whichever the patient tells me to do, I do. But they're all very good. Over 1,000 cochlear implants till today, and with this surgery, which is very easy to do. These are the centers around the world which I go and operate. Yes, because it is just a 40-minute surgery, I do so many at centers which are government aided. This is Raipur Center, where we have done 8 in a day and or 14 in 2 days. So this is how we go and do, and there are children waiting and getting all the implants done. Now, just about to tell you that now we are doing even in single cavity cochleas, where the placode, the active placode is not divided and become a complete cochlea. We were doing Mondini deformities, but now we do this also. But we don't do this in which the cochlea and the vestibular placode are still united. So if you do this, there are chances of vestibular nerve stimulation. The child would have vertigo the rest of the life whenever the stimulation occurs. But rest all we are doing. And this is one of the... He was a 15 years old child when we operated, and now he's 20. He was using hearing aids, that was the advantage, and he is doing pretty well after a cochlear implant. Sorry, I can't get you the sound here. Again, as told you, meningitis is a rampant thing, and we have to do many such cases in which you have ossifications. And so instead of doing a cochleostomy here, which is the normal area, we have to do it here. But we could put, and the lady did very well. So, I mean, if you do it late, yes, the speech doesn't get better, but the hearing is absolutely fine. I wish I could get the sound thing and... Hello? हेलो, आएगा? Now these are again ossified areas. You can see that we had to ossify a lot of the area to get into the stella tympani, and you can see the ossification here. Unfortunately, most of the ossification occurs in the basal term because the cochlear aqueduct, which is connected to the subdural space, like subarachnoid space, sorry, where the CSF is, and whenever you have meningitis, it will go there and cause the problem. Again, these are difficult situations, but you can see the person speaking on the phone. Because in all cases of otodystrophies, the spiral ganglion is very well preserved. It is only the hair cells which are gone. Similarly, in ototoxicity, so they do very good. Now we have some descent jugular bulb. We could do it in that also. This is facial nerve lying on the promontory. We can do this with this technique. CSF gushers, you can see the gushers coming, and we can actually seal them very effectively when these kind of conditions. But the anesthetist has to be our friend, because they have to give mannitol, they have to do all the kinds of things to remove that CSF from the lumbar puncture. And I had the luck of having some very good friends, Dr. Valecha, Dr. Pradeep, and now everybody, because these people are very, very important for me for intra-op and post-op care. These children, if you do them early, you can see that the speech is absolutely normal. You can't even make out whether the child were ever deaf. So when you do them early, the results are extremely good. I mean, so the pulse. This again, they do very well. And they are not lip reading, they are doing absolutely otherwise. So many. Auditory brainstem, when we can't put it into the cochlea, we have to put it in the foramina flasca. And that is how the electrode, you can see in the pontomedullary region, the electrode gone in there. And this is the foramina flasca. You can see the choroid plexus. We are removing that and putting it into the fourth ventricle. And there it goes and settles onto the auditory nuclei. And the results are extremely good. We have done 10, which is the highest number in South Asia. Actually, these are for every 1 million cases, you will have a case where brainstem implant. The electrode is different. It is a flat electrode which goes and settles onto the nuclei. Indigenous implant, I was lucky to be associated with Abdul Kalam Saab's Indian implant. We have gone a long way, and it was his, this great man's. We are still working on it. I was taken as the surgeon who would do the animal trials, and this was under the DRDO initiative, and I did 3 cats, and the results were pretty good. Now they're trying to miniaturize the thing, and it will be available for 1 lakh. At the moment, the cost is anything between 6 to 12 lakh rupees for the cochlear implant. So we would, that will be a poor man's nano, and I'm sure even the Mercedes are selling and the nano is selling, so all the implants would sell. This is what it looks like. It was for this that he honored me, and you get honors from everybody, but this is the most important honor when your children speak and they hear. That is the most overwhelming thing you get, and you can see the pride on the surgeon's face as if he's on the 7th world. Thank you very much.
May I ask a question? Yes, we have 2. One is, how much does it cost?
Ma'am, the cheapest is 5.38 and the costliest is 11.58 lakhs.
Lakhs?
Including implant.
Including the?
Implant.
No, that's only the implant. The surgery is separate.
Okay.
That's the cost of the implant.
I'm just asking, because I have a hearing aid.
Yeah.
Does it mean that if I don't hear very clearly, I can have an implant?
No, ma'am. If with the best of hearing aids, you are not identifying more than 30 words in 100 words given to you at random, you are not a candidate for cochlear. Though I have operated elderly people who are 89 years old, that's the maximum I have done. But they were not being benefited by a hearing aid at all, the best of hearing aids.
So that means both the financial and the hearing ability disqualifies.
I couldn't get you, ma'am.
That is something
Financially, no.
that's not true.
How long it takes?
how long the person has to be in hospital or
No, 1 day.
1 day?
We admit the day before, we admit discharge the next day. Then they come for only dressing change because we got subcuticular stitches, so they don't have stitches also. So
24 hours.
Does that mean that the government is paying that much for those people?
no, sir. No, ma'am. There are only 2 centers in the world: the Chhattisgarh government and the Andhra government, where the implants are being given free. And incidentally, both the chief ministers were doctors, so they could understand the gravity of the situation. The rest are politicians, and they don't give. Even they are politicians, but they're doctors.
Yeah, there's one more last.
Quite maybe a funny one. Is there any contraindication of using a cell phone for those people who are on this cocktail? Nothing at all.
You can actually have there's a Bluetooth. You can hear from the Bluetooth, so you need not. You can have the thing in the pocket.
So, Professor Hans, we thank you very much for your bilingual, very nice talk. Thank you very much.
I'll leave because there's a patient up there.
Yes.